FPL game week 8. It's been a long international break, but the Premier League is finally returning, which means FPL is returning. So today we'll be going through what a wildcard draft would look like for game week 8, as well as a watch list in a new series called the Verified Power Ranking. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash the like button and hit that subscribe. Let's get into it. What's up? It's FPL Vert, where arrows go green most of the time, because I got a red arrow last game week. So if you want to see what my plans are for my team selection, that will be out tomorrow. But today we'll be going through a wildcard game week 8 draft. And before we get there, we're just going to go through what's going to be a weekly series, which is going to be the Verified Power Ranking for goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders and forwards. So all the positions, and it's just going to be updating weekly. So that's how we're going to build a wildcard draft weekly as well. So if you want to go straight to the wildcard draft, you can just skip to the end. But before we get there, I'm just going to be going through all the best performers of each game week, essentially. And in number 1, of course, Pickford with his monster 15-point haul. He goes to number 1. And as you can see, he got most of his points in game week 7. So I'm not saying you should go and get Pickford straight away, but it just is a reminder that he can save penalties, he can keep clean sheets at home. But as you can see in the next fixtures are very nice, as you can see, but only 2 in the next home. So I actually wouldn't be buying him. I'd actually be buying Onana if you want to make a goalkeeper transfer. Not many people do, but United are actually, for all the talk for United, they only sit behind Liverpool on 4 clean sheets in the whole league. And so yeah, United might not have been playing well offensively, but defensively, they've kept the second most clean sheets in the whole league. And as you can see, they've got 3 home fixtures in the next 5. Obviously, you're not really expecting them to keep a clean sheet at home to Chelsea, but he can certainly rack up saves because Ten Hag's setup basically exposes him to having to make saves. So definitely, none might be the one as well. As you can see, he's averaging 5.6 points per match as well. So he's definitely a good asset to own. Sells and Sanchez actually had a bit of a face-off in their last game at the Bridge. It was a very entertaining 1-1 draw, but I would rank Sells 3rd in the power ranking at the moment just because of the fixtures that they have coming up. Raya has definitely disappointed his owners, unfortunately, but I think if you're buying new, I don't think you'd really be buying Raya right now. And I think it's just a reminder that maybe a premium goalkeeper isn't all that, and you can definitely invest that extra mil or half a mil elsewhere. And Sanchez, he's on here just because, he is a good goalkeeper. He seems to be making saves. It's just that Chelsea's fixture run is not the best. So that's goalkeeper power ranking for now. So next up is the power ranking for the defenders. And coming in at number 1, for me, has to be Rico Lewis at 4.7 million. He represents incredible value. He starts for Manchester City, the 4-time in a row Premier League champions. And, at 4.7 mil, the other options in that same price range just will never ever compare. Obviously, his XGI is not the highest, but, he pops up in very great positions. He's already assisted twice this year. And, with the next 2 especially, I think, he's someone that you have to start. And I also wasn't too convinced on, how many minutes he was going to get, but he actually started all of City's last 4 games, and that was in an 11-game spell. And he only played 15 minutes over the international break for England. So he should be fresh. Obviously, he's a young, fit boy as well. So for me, Rico Lewis has to be number 1. Milenkovic, he's a pretty, he's differential. He's less than 1% owned. And I think, he's pretty much a set-piece target. He actually assisted Chris Wood's goal against Chelsea away at the Bridge. And he also has been racking up quite a lot of XG. I think it was against Southampton. He had 2 big chances. So he's definitely a massive set-piece threat. And obviously he plays for a defence that's very, very strong. Nottingham Forest don't give up too many chances. One of the top 5 in the league at the moment in that metric. So, and when you compare his XGI to Gabriel, who's number 3, it's very high. And of course Gabriel comes in at number 3 too. I think you can class Arsenal as fixture-proof. So obviously the fixtures don't look too good, but he still plays for Arsenal, and he is the main set-piece threat for Arsenal. And I think he's a must-own, if I'm honest. Trent comes down to number 4. So if you're new to this channel, I've been singing Trent's praises the whole season, but I think when Alisson is going to be out until at least the November international break, according to reports, and then you see the next fixtures that are coming up, I think, this is a time to maybe jump off. Of course, yes, they're the league leaders, and yes, you have to respect that, but they've only faced one team in the top half of the table, and they've lost that game. And then you look at their next 4 games, and they're all in the top 6, and then you expand that to the next 10 games, and 8 of them are in the top 9. So I think this is a time to jump off Liverpool defence. And 8-0 is 5th because, yes, he's been scoring goals. He got 9 points in the last game, but as you can see by his total points, for every goal he scores, Wolves are conceding 3. I'm joking. But their fixtures are coming up that are quite nice, so it'll be good to have on a wildcard perhaps. Next up are the midfielders, where it gets a bit more exciting, of course. And at number 1, after his 16-point haul, and the main reason for my red arrow, Saka comes in at number 1. And then when you look at the underlying data, so his expected goal involvement per 90, 0.82 is pretty much incredible. And I think I was wrong. I was looking more at the goal threat of Palmer before, but his creativity has skyrocketed in Odegaard's absence, and he's just time and time proving again that he's one of the most consistent players in the whole league. So I do think Saka is a must own at the moment, despite the fixtures. The fixtures don't really concern me too much. I mean, Bournemouth, Arsenal have won 4 games in a row against them. Liverpool at home, he's scored in the last 2 home fixtures against Liverpool in the league. Newcastle obviously are not that great this year, and Chelsea, he assisted last year as well. Then it's Forest at home, so no one is fixture proof, of course. Maybe people are fixture proof, but there's some players that you can expect to return in any game, and that falls into Saka. I mean, he's only actually blanked once, and Arsenal have already had 3 trips to last year's top 4. So I think Saka's someone you just have to own. Palmer as well. I mean, his underlying metrics are just out of this world, really. It's even better than Saka's, and Palmer seems to be the sort of person that once he gets a goal, he gets 2 or 3. He always seems very capable of multiple returns. Not to say that that's expected of Liverpool at Anfield, but I think Palmer's someone you need to own. He's at 10.8 million already. He started the year at 10.5. I think the only person that's risen quicker than that is actually Mbeumo, who's number 3. But yeah, Palmer's someone to own. On to Mbeumo, yes, I think he's a great asset. I think he's probably the best value asset to own, really. When you look at the fixtures, he's a 90-minute man. He takes penalties. He plays out of position technically, but he's actually playing right wing at the moment. Brentford, even though their attacking aren't that good, but you can't really go wrong with Mbeumo. Johnson as well seems to be on a purple patch. He scored again. He's now scored in, I think, 6 games in a row now in all competitions. So he's just someone you just need to own. And at 6.6 million, there's not much of a decision to be made. And then finally, there's Maddison, who's actually been, when you look at his XGI, very high. It actually matches up to Saka and very close to Palmer as well. But he's more of an assist threat. So I think at 7.5 million, I'm including him because of the fixtures, but I don't know, maybe I'll be proven wrong. Obviously, there's no Foden in this list. I know a lot of you will ask about that. I don't think Foden's proved to us that we can trust him to, return. I don't think he's even, I don't think he's actually secured his spot in the starting spot either. De Bruyne should be back soon as well. So that's why Foden's not in here. And finally, the forwards. So at number 1, it has to be Chris Wood. He's actually been pretty much a revelation for my team personally. He's scored in 4 games now. He's got 39 points in total, averaging 5.6 a game. And he's also, more importantly, he's scooped 10 bonus. Only Mohamed Salah and Erling Haaland have actually gotten more bonus than him across the whole game. So, when Wood scores, he seems to get bonus. And, Forest aren't attacking that amazingly, but it seems to be when they get a 1 chance, it falls to him, and he'll take all the bonus. So for me, especially with these upcoming fixtures, he's an absolute no-brainer. Of course, Haaland is number 2. Probably should be number 1, seeing as he's the best captaincy, but he has blanked twice in a row, so maybe some people are getting a bit twitchy. He will be my captain, and I think he should be your captain personally. Wolves are literally like their league and goals for fun at the moment. Like I said, 8 Nunes has scored, and he's barely getting any points because their defense keeps conceding goals. And then when you look at the underlying metrics, 0.96 XGI per 90 is pretty much outrageous. He's expected to contribute to a goal or close to a goal every single game. So Haaland has to be someone they have to own. Raul Jimenez actually scored a free kick over the international break for Mexico against the US, which is pretty surprising because I didn't know that he had that in his locker. But when you look into his underlying metrics, 0.81, pretty much incredible. That's actually very similar to Saka. And then when you look at Fulham as well as a team in general, they're playing very well, and that's why he beats the lap. I mean, he is also a little bit cheaper as well in this ranking, but I just think Fulham as a team are better than Ipswich, which is a pretty fair assumption to make. Onto Delap, his underlying metrics aren't the best, but he seems to be someone that could outperform his XG. So sometimes you have to look at, you have to weigh everything up together. When you actually watch Delap, he scored 2 pretty incredible goals recently. So, and obviously he got his 1 goal off at West Ham, which was very incredible. So definitely someone to monitor if you want a cheap forward. And Watkins is 5th. I actually own him, so probably not the best time to be. I mean, I was expecting more at the United game, but these things happen. I think just like with Arsenal, I think Aston Villa, they are a Champions League team now, so you don't have to look too into fixtures. Obviously, they're not the best coming up, but it's not like Tottenham will keep a clean sheet. Really, they never really do. And Liverpool can be got at as well in the next 5, and then Fulham, Bournemouth, and Crystal Palace as well. I think those are more than enough fixtures. So that's the power ranking. So we put all that information together, and this is what my Game Week 8 draft would look like. We would have Onana in goal because of what we mentioned. Obviously, Man United have actually put up a very impressive clean sheet numbers, maybe not underlying numbers, but Onana will always be liable to make saves, and he has already saved a penalty as well, so he's definitely someone you should own in my opinion. Gabriel, as mentioned, he's probably the number 1 defender I would own. He's probably a season keeper. Obviously he can score. He's got 2 goals in the hardest fixtures that he's had so far at Tottenham and Man City, and then Arsenal, of course, the strongest defence in the league without question. Blinkovic as well, he's a great set piece threat, and Nottingham Forest have actually been defending very well. Rico Lewis is just an amazing budget enabler to allow the owning Saka, Palmer and Haaland, who in my opinion you just need to own at the moment, and just leave them in really, because they can go off in any game. Palmer, obviously, he's probably the most explosive asset in the game at the moment, and Saka's just uber consistent, so you pair the two in my opinion. Mbeumo as well, he's pretty much a no-brainer at his price. Got great fixtures, takes penalties, and Brentford keeps scoring in the first minute, so you never know what's going to happen on Saturday. Johnson as well, he's very in form at the moment. He's scored in 7 straight games. Chris Wood, it's a great option to have. So is the lap at those prices. And Haaland will be the captain, and don't think about it. Onto the bench, I mean, you can have any 4 million goalkeeper you like. I just like Slicker because it's a bit different. He's got a pink kit. He's not at risk of dropping at any time, I don't think, because he's so lowly owned. Morgan Rogers is another, just like Rico Lewis, a great budget option to own, and he can just rotate in and out of the team, especially for someone like Delap. And then FaZe and Ait-Nouri you'll probably look to start more games after this. Obviously hosting Man City, you don't want to really wildcard a defender for that game. So looking forward, that's how the team would look. If you're on wildcard, what does your wildcard draft look like? Do you like the recommendations, or you got a different view? Are you gonna punt on Foden? Maybe you want Solanke. Also with Solanke, he's returned in his last 2 or 3 games, but I'm not really excited by him, and he doesn't get into best shooting positions. He's not the best finisher, and he's got 0 bonus as well, so that's a no for me. So that's what my wildcard draft will look like. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, subscribe and comment, and I'll be back with a team selection video. Thanks.